Welcome to the Australia Edge Student Conversation, where we bring you real stories of international students who are shaping their future with a global mindset. If you're studying abroad or planning to, this series is designed to help you explore, adapt, and thrive in your international journey. Studying abroad takes courage, reflection, and balance. And Ayra Hani, a data science student at the University of Melbourne, embodies all three. Originally from Malaysia, Ayra is pursuing a degree in data science at the University of Melbourne, and her story is a beautiful reflection of growth through self awareness and adaptability. When Ayra first arrived in Australia, she was determined to make only Australian friends, a choice driven by her desire to immerse herself in a new culture. But as the months went by, she began to miss the warmth of home and realized the importance of staying connected to her roots. This insight led her to reconnect with her community actively, eventually becoming the chairperson of the Malaysian Students' Council of Australia, Victoria chapter. Interestingly, her journey took a reverse turn when she began looking for part time work. Initially focused on Malaysian restaurants, she soon discovered opportunities beyond her comfort zone, embracing diverse work experiences across various cuisines and cultures. Her part time job search taught her another valuable lesson. Opportunities can come from anywhere, and growth often occurs outside one's comfort zone. So, Ira's advice for new students: explore campus resources early. There's a wealth of support available. Plan your meals for the first 2 weeks. Knowing where to shop, just not enough. Communicate openly. People are far more helpful and trustworthy than you might think. Keep an emergency fund, even if it's just $100. Stay open to travel options. Confidence grows with mobility. Ira keeps Uber handy even if she rarely uses it. Join student clubs and connect. Seek information and advice from classmates and mentors. So, in this episode of the Australia Edge, let's explore the
Thank you
journey
so
of
much,
Ira
Ira, for your
Hani.
time today. I think it takes a very special person to really give time to others to share your experiences because nothing compares to anyone's learning than learning from someone who has been through the same journey. So, the Australia Edge conversation is all about how we help students to learn from the students who have taken that path already. Okay, so we focus on global mindset, which is a little bit of a new concept, but also not so much new because, as the name suggests, it's all about the global mindset and how it helps all of us, including students, build resilience and adaptability in a new environment. Okay, so with that context, we have this Australia Edge conversation, which we really want to continue doing with the students in Australia and share their journey with the students who have recently arrived in the country or who are still overseas but preparing to come to Australia. Thank you once again. I would really like you to share first about you. Like, when did you come to Australia? What are you studying? Where are you studying? How has been your journey so far?
Thank you so much, Shaina. And of course, I'm so happy to even be included in this interview. It means a lot that people sort of value my lived experience as well, and I can't agree more on inspiring others through lived experiences so that they have it a little bit easier than how we all had it, right? So
Right.
yeah, a little bit about me is that my name is Ayra Hani, and I'm originally from Malaysia. I am third year at Melbourne University at the moment, studying data science.
Mhm.
And I originally came to Melbourne in 2023. So a little bit about that whole experience is I think during the start year intake of 2023 in all universities across Australia, I think it was the first. It was like the whole big wave of international students
Yes.
returning
Yeah.
post-COVID. I think they did allow a few people in 2022, but
Mhm.
I think 2023 February was the time
The
where
big one.
all restrictions were lifted. There was no online learning. Everything went back to quote unquote normal, right?
Yes.
So that experience is, I think, quite unique in itself, being one of the first few batches to have to experience that, especially coming
Mhm.
from home where sort of COVID restrictions were still in place, and then coming to some
Yes.
another country where suddenly
Yeah.
everything's back to normal. So that
Your
was
timings
definitely
have been great because many students who I interviewed recently, they have come in early 2020. They experience
yeah,
so different. So it's perfect that you're coming immediately after COVID and campus
yeah.
is open and there's so much available to do.
Yeah, so I think about the timing. I mean, um, who would have thought COVID would
Yes.
hit, right? So I'm
Yeah.
definitely lucky in that aspect, but it did mean that I did have to take a gap year before coming here. So I think that gap year sort of allowed me the time and headspace to sort of prepare for life here as well. So I'm quite lucky to
It's
have
great you
had
say
that gap
that.
year.
Yeah. So gap year in Australia is pretty, common. Many students take a gap year, but gap year in Malaysia, is it common or is it?
Honestly, it's not very common. I think people looked at me as just like unemployed and uneducated for the better part of 7 months. But I
Yeah.
think there's two streams in Malaysia. Just to keep it brief, you either go to public university or you go private.
Yeah.
And private meaning you pay for your education in foreign universities. Like for
Mm.
example, we have a Monash campus in Malaysia.
Yeah.
So because of that, then you follow their own schedule.
Yeah.
So I would personally say if you're in a private stream, gap
Mm-hmm.
years are a bit more normal simply because you have to wait for the intake.
Yes.
Public school education timings may not completely jive with
Mm.
private university timings, so you'd have like a bit of gap.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's okay, honestly. I did feel
It's
my time also.
perfect. Thank you so much, Ira, for sharing your journey. Now, a quick question. You just did a quiz about global mindset. Just want to hear your reflection. How was it for you?
So I think as you mentioned earlier, the quiz took me no longer than 5 minutes, which is honestly quite efficient because I did feel that the questions posed were very straight to the point, or rather, you know, it 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 was like very on the nail.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me, half of getting it right is asking the right questions. So I
Yeah.
think if you want to reach a certain group of people and you want to know something very specific, asking that question is very asking the correct question is very important. For me, I particularly like the fact that the quiz focused on a few keywords that I personally resonate with. The
Mhm.
first one is adaptability, and
Mhm.
another one was um, global mindset, or like
Mindset.
planning,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken. I think
Yeah.
planning,
Preparation.
adaptability, and
Yeah.
preparation. I
Yeah.
think I resonate a lot with those three words simply because that is how I honestly got by during my
Mhm.
time in Melbourne. I had to
Mhm.
adapt, and I am a very adaptable person, looking at whatever resources I can get. And
Mhm.
also planning. I think planning is very important. As I mentioned, I had a lot of time to plan, so that was
Yes.
quite essential in my journey here, honestly.
So all that planning must have really helped you to settle in well and adjust and be in fact more adaptable and quickly adapting to new changes. Like so, the
Yeah.
time you think it was a gap, it was literally something. Wasn't just a gap, but it was a time for you to do something else, like to focus and
Yes.
plan on how exactly you're going to do what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. So, with that, just want to know, so if your international student journey was a superpower, what is your superpower?
Sorry, just asking, do I have to answer from the keywords from the quiz, or it's just
You
totally
you
up to me?
could you could be like, so the answer is that a, what is your superpower, and if you would be suppose a superhero, then what superhero you think resonates to you, something like that. It could be from the quiz, or it doesn't have to be. It could be otherwise as well.
Okay. I personally, so I think my international student journey would probably be a lot about adaptability. So I think, of course, coming from another country with very different cultures and norms, it's very normal to feel very intimidated, especially as a young person coming here traveling alone. So I think it's very important to keep an open mind. So I think all the keywords from the quiz sort of dive into one very big superpower, but I think it's important to keep an open mind and be more adaptable and open to willingness to have openness to want to experience new things. I
So
think a
someone
very
like Doctor Strange.
Probably not. I would not say Doctor Strange, because in the beginning, Doctor Strange was very
Oh yeah,
ignorant, I would say,
yeah.
right?
He
He was
very
very,
ignorant.
you know.
Yes.
So, at the top of my head, I don't know, maybe someone like Iron Man, who I think in the first movie he he worked with what he had in order to build his armor, right? So I would say someone like Iron Man, maybe.
Iron Man.
He's a
Okay.
bit of a Yeah, he's a bit
Yeah.
ignorant, but he's very resourceful with what he has. And I feel like as an international student, I had to learn to be very resourceful
Yes.
with whatever.
Yeah, it's very interesting you say that, because the earlier interview I had had one of the reflections about how much resources, like there's abundance of resources in Australia, but with every student, there's a limitation in terms of awareness, in terms of preparation. So, but if you come prepared and focused on what you need, there's so much available here to do that.
Yeah. Yep, I
Yeah.
completely agree.
Okay. So, how was your first week in Australia, if you put it in one word?
My first week, a lot of building, honestly. To build furniture. I thought about this from the email you sent me, and yeah, I think my first week was a lot of um sort of starting life from scratch, I would say, right? So I
Yes.
had no friends. I didn't come
Yeah.
here with anyone that I knew, no course mates or anything. So going to uni was literally like going for the sole purpose of building a single connection that might last me at least for as long as a semester, or hopefully as long as my uni career. So I went to uni for that purpose, and if I went home, I was like, oh my god, I have to build a bed. I have to
Oh,
build a
yes.
table. I've got to build a chair. So that was my first week in uni, just trying to start life from scratch again, trying to, build some familiarity of the area that I lived in, because I live outside the city, that kind of thing.
So, coming back to what you mentioned, you didn't know anyone before coming here. So that meaning your personal family or mentors, or no one at all.
No, I knew.
Oh,
I
you've
mean,
done
I think.
well. You've done really well. Yeah.
Thank you so much. But
Yeah.
before coming here, you obviously, or at least I have made some initiative to sort of reach out to high school seniors that probably are already working here, or in their final year. But I just didn't have anyone close to me, doing the exact same thing, studying the same thing in the same uni. I didn't really have the privilege of that. So yeah, I really did feel like I was starting
Okay.
alone.
So with that comes also a question, like, before you came to Australia, did you much think about cultural curiosity? Like, did you think that how multicultural Australia would be, or did you have an idea of how different it's going to be? How was it for you? Like, your own curiosity and what it turned out to be.
I see. Okay. In terms of cultural curiosity, I would say I had it all wrong before I came here. I think simply because, during COVID, I did not come here to visit as much. But I thought that there wasn't a lot of culture to begin with in Melbourne. That was my
Yes.
initial impression.
Yeah.
But after coming here and, being a little bit homesick and, spending some time in the city, I'm like, oh, wait, I hear some familiar accents around me. I
Yes.
see some familiar food places around me. The
Mm.
smell of some food,
Yeah.
I recognize it. So I think I was personally a little bit ignorant because I was unaware of how multicultural Melbourne has been in particular. I really thought that it was in the nicest way possible. I thought that was like way too many white people here. Like
Yes.
it's a very Caucasian country, but
Yeah.
and I guess it still is. But I think in the city there's so much opportunity for different cultures to present themselves. So
Yes.
honestly, it's been
Yes.
quite heartwarming.
Yeah.
Listening to very familiar accents,
Yeah.
knowing where the good food places are,
Yeah.
and Australian people themselves are very open to accepting these cultures, which makes me feel very honored and honestly very happy.
Amazing. And this is so hard to imagine from outside, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly, coming from Malaysia, which is already a very multicultural country, I have no issues at all.
Hmm.
Sorry, I have no issues at all accepting other cultures, and being in a room with different cultures, I honestly do not see any issues at all. But it's just
Yeah.
that coming here, having the idea of Australia in general, I just never expected to have that many cultures be celebrated, let alone in
Yes.
a positive light.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been an amazing eye opener, honestly. My first year
Yeah.
here, first few months here actually.
So how long it took for you to so coming from Malaysia, you already had a very good exposure to different cultures, and then of course there was an initial impression of what Australia is and how Australia looks like, and then you realize, oh, it's very multicultural. It's not exactly what you thought it was. So do you think at some point you got really comfortable and you thought, okay, now you're thinking more like a global citizen, like you don't realize the differences, you feel you've become more multicultural? Yeah.
I I definitely think there was a turning point and where I started to think like this. And it has to be, I think, during my second semester. So it did take, I would honestly say it did take about 2 3 months because I went back home in between. But uh in my second semester it definitely hit me that and I already had sort of a I found my footing with my friends here, my local friends here, and I also found my way around um the area the neighborhood and stuff. So I think yeah, it took me maybe 3 months, and the turning point was when I was looking for a job.
Okay. Yeah.
I was looking for casual job, and before before I started looking, like in the first few months that I was here, um I for some reason I wanted something familiar to me,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have any experience working in other culture restaurants, or let alone like working with other people. So I thought, oh, maybe it'd be easier to work somewhere that I know, like somewhere in Malaysia.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if you know, but in QV there used to be Papa Rich, and
Yes,
around
I
that
know
area
Papa Rich
there's
very well.
and
Very famous in Australia.
the and then I guess around the city that there's abundance of Malaysian restaurants. So I said, okay, I'll try my luck here.
Yeah.
Chances
Mm.
are I'll get it. But
Yeah.
one thing led to another, and I didn't end up getting any of the jobs, even though I had gone for like the trainings and things like that. But
Okay.
after I went back to Malaysia, some reflection, just to cure
Mm-hmm.
my homesickness a little bit. And
Yes.
I think in my second semester, I thought like, oh wait, I don't know why I'm limiting myself to only these options when in fact all these places are hiring. And
Mm-hmm.
and I talked to my friends about it and said like, yeah, you should just go. Like my Australian friend works at a Filipino restaurant. I have
Yeah.
another friend working at a Thai restaurant, and that kind of hit me saying like, oh, I why am I being so narrow-minded?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I went to work, and I managed to get a job at a Turkish restaurant, Turkish slash Lebanese restaurant. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, that's been quite an eye opener because I also work with university students of different backgrounds. They're not
Yeah.
Turkish. So honestly, it's
Yeah.
been very, very fun. And I think from that point onwards, I just, I just, I just do whatever I want to do without any prejudice. I think.
a very, very powerful sharing, Ira, because I think this is something like I can relate to it. This is so common to happen. Like you want to do something familiar, something you're comfortable, something safe to start with. And then you can try, things may work, but even if things don't work, what really works the best is that how you reflect and what is your next action plan. So reflection is a big part. So again, coming back to resources, there is so much of resources here. All, but you can only explore if you try differently, if you do something different and learn from what just happened, right? Okay, that's great. So anything funny or surprising that happened during your first part-time work at the Lebanese restaurant or the Turkish one?
Anything funny?
Or anything
Um,
surprised, like you thought that's how it's gonna go, but it went differently?
okay, this is not particularly funny in any way, but I was just so surprised at how not just this restaurant, but apparently how most restaurants work in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the fact that phone orders are accepted, meaning you can just call ahead and pick it up later. I think that's such
Oh
a
yes, without
yeah,
with any commitment or paying in advance, right?
yeah, exactly. So I think that was such a foreign concept to me because
Yeah.
maybe it's because Australia honors a very high trust system,
Yes.
right? Even with
Yes.
petrol and things like that. That there so I think that's one of the things I realized as well. The
Yeah.
good things about Australia is that their trust system is looked up upon, and people honor that system. But
Yes.
I could not accept it. I was like, I told my manager, I was like, why are you accepting phone orders? Why if they don't come? You've
Yeah.
made this food worth $40-$50, and they don't rock up, and they don't lose anything. And they
Hmm.
said, yeah, they'll come. Why would they order it if they won't come? I said, I don't understand. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that's like my first
Yeah.
few days I had to take a phone order, and I was like, how do we get them to pay? So
If they
yeah,
don't
that
pick
was one
up,
of the things
yes.
that shocked me.
Yeah, it is. It was a little surprising to me too when I started to live in Australia, and I was like, I went to my daughter's school, and I filled the form for her primary schools in grade two, and they told me everything, and I filled the form, and they said, yeah, send it on Monday, and I'm like, done? Like yeah, it's done. Like it was that simple. And I said, but she doesn't have a uniform, she doesn't have this. Oh, don't worry, we'll take care of all that when she's here. The most important thing, she should come first to school, and the rest is okay, we'll take care of it. And I'm like, wow. I would do it the other way around, to make sure that she's got
Yeah,
everything. And then but there was a huge trust thing, that
yeah,
if the child has come within the community and in the area, the first thing for the child is to be in the school, and then all the other formalities are secondary.
yeah,
Whereas coming from India, it was the other way around. The schools will make sure that everything is done
yeah,
before the child could enter the gate. So I'm like, oh wow, so there's so much trust in the community. Yeah, that's a
yeah.
great insight. Okay, perfect. um so what are the things that international students look at when they are looking for studying abroad, and is international exposure? Did you think about it? Like, what does it actually mean to you?
I think international exposure to me is just um the ability to ex especially in Australia and in Melbourne, to be particular. Like, I think it's just the ability to and the freedom to express yourself. I've talked to a lot of international students about this before,
Mm,
coming from Latin America, Indonesia, and other parts of the world
mm,
that have quite restrictive governments. And I don't want to get political, but in their parts of the world, expressing themselves is dangerous,
mm,
whereas things like that are celebrated in Australia. So I understand that while people come here to study, there are a lot of um, ways that a student can express themselves and further explore without feeling censored. I think
mm.
so. In
Yep.
that sense, I
Yep.
think that's why international education is very, very important because it allows you to go beyond your bounds, I think. So especially like a very close example near to my heart is, okay, it's not near to my heart, but something that happens on a regular is that in Melbourne Uni there will be protests, and it's either protests for the teaching staff to get higher wages, or there'll be booths in the campus about, for example, Marxism or socialism, or about the conflicts in Gaza. So while some issues are more pressing than others, I do feel that, and these people who have these booths, they are willing to teach each other about the topics, right? You go to the booth, you grab a brochure, or they'll put it in your hand, but they're open to talk to you about it and answer any questions, even if you have any. So I think just that concept alone, that curiosity and that freedom to ask and express is very prominent in Australia, and that's why I think Australia is like a country that most people decide to come to.
Yeah, it's a freedom, the freedom that you
Yeah.
have to be yourself and feeling safe to share your opinion or perspective about something without being judged or without having any severe consequences, or a fear of getting excluded is not there. You and your friend, you both could have a different opinion about something, and yet you could be a friend.
Exactly. So yeah, I think international exposure is simply just, I think the basic answer is yes, exposing yourself to other cultures, but also bringing back that trust in the community and like safe space for one to even be curious in the first place about all these other exchanges.
Yeah, sure. This is, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this just brought me, reminded me of one of the things that parents are concerned of is about the children losing their identity or the culture or family values or sometimes religion, So what do you have to say about that? Do you feel that being in such a, diverse community, do you fear losing your own identity or your own self, or how do you maintain that? Like, what would you say to the parents of such fears?
Yeah, I think parents have every right to be worried.
Yes, of course.
I think parents have every right to be worried because, again, like I mentioned, there's so much freedom here, but too much freedom is also a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that for myself as well. So yeah, they have every right to be worried about, losing your identity, or, stuff about religion, and not following suit with the requirements of your religion. And I think that just comes back to how things were back in a person's home country, where things may be a little bit more restrictive, and then when you come here it's like a whole culture shock. So it just depends on how that person deals with it. I know for some of my friends who have lived in very conservative families, when they come here, they just decide they change 180 degrees, right? Because they are finally their own person. So I'm not sure, you can look at it as a sad story or a success story, but some people believe that they can finally be their own person without the bounds of family and government restrictions, things like that, which I admire. But at the same time, I'm always reminded by my peers, my seniors, and other Malaysian people close to me that, like, when you travel, you are like a little ambassador for your country, know. So don't forget that. And ever since I heard that, maybe last year, I have always kept that close to me, because I do believe that I'm an ambassador wherever of my country, wherever I go. So I try to bring not necessarily like the religious values or political beliefs, but just like the culture and the hospitality that a Malaysian might give you.
And it also comes back to your own personal and family values too, because when you are you're Malaysian here, but in Malaysia you're not Malaysian, right? Like it only comes back when you go to a bigger place, a bigger space, and when you leave your your home. Like once you left your home and gone out, only then
Mm-hmm.
you have your identity. So
Yeah.
that's a really good point where you're saying that if you remember that you are, because Australia is so multicultural, you're really a representation of your culture, your religion, your family background, everything that you believe in is your representation of that. And the best part is that this country appreciates that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so you could keep all of the values that you want to keep, and yet you will be an Australian, and you will be a different kind of Australian. Like because at some point when you're going to Malaysia, you're basically representing Australia too. It goes both way.
Yep. Of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if we have a little bit of time, I just want to talk about like my experience and just in general before I came here, even though I did a lot of planning, I was very adamant on like not making any Malaysian friends.
Mhm.
Simply because I
Okay.
was like, I don't want to see any Malaysians. I'm gonna talk to local people only, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
And for
Okay. So
whatever
that.
reason, I had
Mhm.
that idea
Mhm.
in my mind. I think it was just like, wanting to like 100% shift whatever
Mm.
ideologies I had, and I wanted to only make friends with local people. And while I did,
Mhm.
and while I do have a great set of local friends, I think at one point I did get very, very homesick, and
Yes.
and I thought I just missed my house. I thought I just missed my parents, my room, but I
Yeah.
think over time I sort of realized that I just miss being around familiar faces.
Yeah.
So I think
Yes.
two
Yes.
things can be true at once. You can start
Yeah.
finding yourself here in a different country with a little bit more freedom. But I think at there comes a point where you also start to want to see familiar faces just because of the comfort and safety that they
Yes.
provide. So I
Yeah.
found a lot of comfort in Malaysian, like the Malaysian Council of Students in Australia here. So I was a
Mhm.
big part of that for 2 years, so almost more than half of my university journey. So
Mhm.
that really helped me a lot. Being surrounded by those people, but also having to live a life that is very different to
Yeah.
what normal Malaysians would live. So I'm glad that I
Yeah.
got that balance,
Yeah.
honestly. And
Yeah.
for
This.
other international students here as well, like I think my advice is, if you ever want to still be connected to your identity back home, I think joining a cultural club is the way to go.
Is the way to go. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing because there is a balance that we all need. We do want to connect with Australia and local people, but at the same time, um, you also miss home. Like you want to keep your comfort zone with you
Yeah.
too, because that gives you energy. That gives you, a lot of a power to you that to deal with the rest
Mhm.
of the things. You do need both.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Thank you for sharing. I think that's really insightful and wise too. I must say, it's like you have. I like how you reflect, and because you question your own belief in the sense that you initially decided that you only want to be with Australian friends, but at some point you were missing home, and then you took on doing something different to your belief at that time
Yeah.
now. Yeah, that's a lot of courage as well, and I think students, you can build it slowly as long as you're just reflecting as often as you can on what you're thinking and what you're doing. Okay, that's perfect. Um, so you were very good in adapting and preparation as well, but it's still, if you went back and gave one tip to yourself, what would you that what would that be
mm, One tip to myself.
about adapting in new culture? In the sense, yeah,
Uh, one okay. One tip to myself will be to go out more, I think.
go out more. Okay.
Just force yourself to go out of the house, I think. I for the first few weeks,
Hmm.
it was very difficult for me to find the courage to leave, having lived alone somewhere a little bit further away from the city.
Hmm.
It was very hard because I think I'm also the kind of person that likes to go out with a purpose. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to groceries. I'm gonna go get groceries. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
eat this. So going out without a purpose was very difficult for me to accept, simply because
Yeah.
I just don't like not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, but you have to understand that, you know, sometimes um you have to go out to make friends. Like, you know, you might
Yeah.
not make any friends outside, but the chances of you not making any friends at home is 100%,
It's
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
If
for a
you go
while
out,
there,
yeah, you'll definitely meet someone,
exactly.
and that someone
And
can lead to something else.
yeah. So whether it's going to uni, going to the library and things like that, force yourself to go out. Whether you like it or not, you already pay for the university facilities. Use it. Don't stay home.
Yes.
Because
Mhm.
yeah, going, while you know Melbourne Uni is a, what do they call it, like a commuter university, meaning people go to
Mm.
class and go back. There's
Mm.
no like live on campus accommodation. Make the most of it, because I think as international students, that's what you need and that's what you're here for. So
Yeah, that's what you're here for. Okay, so now with a little that we talked that you saw in that quiz about global mindset, how much of that students need for a great international exposure? Like, I personally think you can't have a great international exposure. You cannot get the value of that exposure if you don't have a global mindset. But I want to hear from you. What is your take on this? Can anyone have international exposure without global mindset?
no, not really. So I definitely think you global mindset is super duper important. And if I could put it on a ranking, I feel like it would probably be top of the list. You can study in an international country. This is again just my personal thoughts, but you can study in a foreign country without having a global mindset. But I think at the end of the day, if you don't have that global mindset, you will fall back to the same people that you know back home, and you're not going to get anything out of your experience except for living here, I think.
Okay.
So I'm not
Yeah.
sure if that answers your question, but for me, at least my definition of global mindset is just like the openness and um just thinking about just thinking about like sorry like not having prejudice towards other countries, I think. So
Yes.
that's what global mindset means, right?
Yeah. That's so global mindset has multiple definitions and it has so many different meanings in different contexts. But at the core of it, that's what it is. Being open to other cultures, being open to something different, being open to people from variety of views and opinions and
Mm-hmm.
perspective. And Australia in itself, with the core values of how country is, it is very global. Like Melbourne Uni, officially, I saw the data on the website. It has students from 90 countries. 90 country, like imagine maybe at one given point, you may be surrounded by people at least from 10 different nationalities or
Yeah.
from 15 cultures. So if you don't see them without any judgment or any prejudice, you perhaps learn a lot from them, and also they will learn about you. So that's the opportunity. Like you're not just giving that global mindset to yourself, but you are also giving it to the other person unknowingly already.
Yeah.
And that creates a very deep bond of connection and respect.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would think of it as like a sponge. Like,
Yeah,
you
no,
know, I
that's
feel
all right. It's just I really I did a lot of thinking around what kind of things that we need for international students, and I just believe that after I became a coach, I wanted to work on mindset coach. I realized there's only one mindset that we all need to actually live in such a vast, diverse environment, and that is a global mindset. And
mm,
that's where the whole idea of working on this started. And the more we build it, the more connection is going to be among international students, among the overall community, university, and everything else. So we'll continue building that. And thank you. I really appreciate your time, because sometimes just because we are in international environment doesn't mean we have a global mindset. It's not automatic. It's very easy to acquire once you're aware. It's not difficult as well, because it's just a reflection, and if you keep reflecting on it, at some point you'll just acquire it, because it's not a hard thing.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, but are you aware of it? That awareness makes the whole difference. Like, and that's
Of
all,
course.
that's why we are having this series, just to generate the awareness of what could actually take your journey to the next level.
Mhm.
Okay, so now coming back to the PACE model, which is our main model that we use, and in that we really focus on preparation bit. We just believe for international students, the preparation is really, really, really important, and you've done really well as well. So, so what part or which aspect of preparation you think is critical that every student must look at it before leaving their country? I mean, except
Honestly,
the admissions and visa and the basic,
mhm.
that's like necessity.
Yeah,
But and what other preparation that you think they must invest in?
I really admire how you said before leaving the country, because I believe that that part of preparation is often not highlighted when we talk about international students. And I think the main part is figuring out what you need or how you are as a person, and thinking of like the absolute worst case scenario for me. So I knew for a fact that I knew I was very privileged to know where I was living before I came to Australia. That's because we had friends who, we had some help people to inspect houses and things like that, and we were able to secure a house before we arrived. But I think if you are privileged enough to live in a student accommodation where you can um do that while you're in your home country, then you already know a few things. For example, where you're living, the area you're living, what is around your area of living, where's the nearest hospital to where you're living. For some people, where's the nearest mosque, that kind of thing. So you can already start to imagine your life while you're there. And I don't think that should be done while you're here, because you'll be
Yes.
overwhelmed with a lot of other things, like the weather, how you have no friends, how your homesickness. So I
Yeah.
think those are like, while it won't take you like one day to think about all this, but it's important to already be aware of these kind of places. My mom told me to find all these things. So this is advice from my mom: find the nearest this, find the nearest that, find the nearest this. If you get in trouble while you're at home, who are you going to call? Like,
Yeah.
you have to know this, because again, this is like worst case scenario, and
Yeah.
so that you're already aware of the resources available in Australia. You mentioned earlier that there's so many resources in Australia, um and but in the moment when you're already going through something, you won't have the proper
Mhm.
headspace to go
Mm.
through each
Yeah.
one, compare, contrast, kind of thing. So it's
Yeah.
important to already know it beforehand, so that when it actually happens to you, you already know,
Yeah.
yeah, this is the one that I want to go with, you
Yeah,
know?
that's a very good point you've brought up. That once you are in problem, example, if you're sick, you need a doctor, but you have to be prepared in advance. Like, what is the process? Who's my doctor? What is
Yeah.
my Medicare? What is my insurance?
Mhm.
Everything else, and that's like it's a worst case scenario, and you don't want to be sick, but at the same time you want to be prepared, because if you're
Yeah.
prepared for that situation, it's gonna be, you will be more powerful, and you will feel more in control of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. So,
Mhm.
just to give a quick example of some preparation that really, like an aspect of preparation that really, really helped me, was in terms of food. I know that this is so type A, but like, um,
Very
I knew that
important.
food.
Yeah.
I knew that food was going to be a big issue for me, because I would have to cook. And I think a lot of mental load goes into what you're going to cook, the ingredients that you need, and things like that. So I think one day while I was in Malaysia, I was just like, okay, you know what? Let me just make a cookbook or like a meal plan for myself for the first 2 weeks, right? So that personally helped me a lot, because for the moment I arrived, I already knew what groceries to buy. And I know that sounds like something very
Well, it's
tedious.
very powerful because, again, if you just think that you know and you'll manage it, because sometimes I also meet some students who just, oh, I know, I'll go there and
Yeah,
I'll buy, and oh, I know, uh, my friend has told me there is a Woolworths and there is this, there is that, I will go and I'll buy stuff. That's great, but the size of Woolworths and the things there, if you really don't have your own menu or you don't know what exactly, it's so easy to be lost or get
yeah,
something that you may not end up eating, or spending too much time or money on something that you may not even need.
exactly. So
Yeah.
like going back to my first point, where it's like you have to know yourself and
Yes.
what your needs are in order to actually prepare. So
Mm.
for me, I knew that food and that mental load of thinking, oh my God, what am I going to eat? What am I going to cook today? It was going to take a toll on me and my mental health, especially
Yes.
while being homesick, while worrying about my first week of uni. So it's like, okay, it's good that I have this thing already. So I just need to do it.
Yeah.
Someone already thought
Yeah.
about it. Me, I thought about it for myself, but someone already
Yeah.
thought about it. So I just have to
Yeah.
do it and can focus
Mm.
on other things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You use your time really, really well.
Yeah.
Okay. So any tip on adaptability? I know we've talked a lot, but just a quick one, how you've adopted to challenges since arriving. What is your quick formula for anything?
I think it's uh going back to the resources available to you, I think. So for example, it's like I got sick. I got sick while I was alone, and I had to adapt to um being sick alone and having no one to take care of me. So I
Yeah.
think having a single resource that is sort of like at the tip of your fingers is very important. So for me, I use Uber. I don't use it all the time because it's expensive, but
Yeah.
at least I have that. And I think preparing an emergency fund is also a way that you adapt, because um, I think the mental load when you have money to solve your problem.
Yeah.
I know this
Yeah.
sounds very shallow, but it's like when you have money to solve your problem,
Mm.
it makes it a lot easier for you to navigate when you're alone, especially. So
Mm.
having that emergency fund is how I adapted and position myself in how I can solve my challenges, I think.
That's
Not
amazing.
a huge
Yeah.
sum.
Yeah.
I think
So,
maybe $100 that is enough to buy medication, pay for a
mm.
doctor's appointment, food, that kind of thing.
Okay, no, this is amazing, amazing sharing, Ira. And also in terms of communication, because that's also very important. And many students struggle with communication because sometimes it's also the Aussie slang, you don't get it what they're saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be the jokes, you don't get it. Um, and it is an awkward situation. And so, what would you suggest? How, what is, and what is your way of communicating in
um
such circumstances?
so I completely agree with the the Aussie slang. It is a bit hard to grasp at first, but honestly, I with communication, I think some of the skills that helped me was just being very um upfront. Yeah, hi, how are you?
Oh,
That kind of thing. And
okay.
if I don't understand, it's important to be upfront as well. I'll say, oh, I'm so sorry. Can you say that again? And in my experience, um, and other friends' experiences as well, I noticed that people here are a lot more some aren't, but
Mhm.
especially in uni, a lot of people are more accommodating to people whose English is not their first language. So
Yes.
oftentimes when you ask them to repeat themselves, they go slower, which is something that I
Yes.
really appreciate, because I mean it's a very subtle way of saying, okay, I can't understand you, but what I can do is speak slower to sort of help.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
very subtle
Yeah.
act that can help
Yeah.
someone, you know.
And also, I think in general, overall in Australia, in unis and places like that, where there are international students, people don't mind having this question. If you tell someone to slow down or ask again, they
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So I admire that part of Australia, and I think one, like in terms of communication as well, not me necessarily, but I think a lot of other people uh who have probably English names, they take the time to learn your name as well, which is something that
Yes.
I really admire.
Yeah.
In so uh like for example lecturers and tutors, they want to make sure that that communication is, when you have effective communication, you say someone's name correctly and pronounce it how they want it to be pronounced. So they take the time to actually ask, oh, how would you like me to pronounce it, and then they write it down, you know.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. Now the last bit is about engagement. Um, how do you engage with different community, like, and what is your tip on engaging, and who should student engage with, what exactly engagement includes? Of course communication is one part of it, but what else is engagement?
um I'll speak in the context of like university clubs. I
Yeah.
think it's very important for you to sort of identify what clubs offer you what engagement
Mm.
or what experience. So I am part of the Data Science Student Society,
Mm.
and while that sounds like a very academic club, I think through their postings on social media, you'll learn that they're a very social club. They just
Mm.
so happen to all study data science as well.
Yes,
And
of
then
course.
you also have like women in tech, and from their social media postings and from the list of events they have, you know that, oh, this is a very academic crowd, this is a very serious crowd with
Mm.
like networking sessions and competitions and things like that. So I think it's important for you to do your research as well to see what
Mm.
engagement you can get and what is more up your alley.
Yeah.
So
And how
um
important it is.
I think it's very, very important, because I think I mentioned that, um engaging with your own community is very important. But in university life, you have so many random clubs, so just engaging with people of similar interests is also can also, like, propel your
Yes.
career in
Yes.
university, so. And we're very lucky, especially in Melbourne Uni, where again you have like coffee lovers club, and all these people, and this club only unites people that have one similar interest, but their
Yeah.
background can be very, very different. So that's why you engage, so that you're not confined by a specific faculty
Mm.
or something like that. You literally bond over coffee, but this person may be doing their accounting exams, this person may be doing, a
Mm.
biology degree. So
Mm.
that cross faculty interaction and engagement is
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah. So the only common thing is they both love coffee.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
that's
good to
that's
find common
amazing. Yeah.
ground.
Hmm. Okay. So out of this space model, what is your superpower? Is it preparation? It is adaptability, communication, engagement? Like which one really sits on top?
Honestly, when I did the quiz earlier, I think I don't remember now. I think I said adaptability and preparation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now, thinking about it a little bit more and what we talked about, I would
Yeah.
say communication is also one of the superpowers or something that I excel in.
Yeah. Okay.
Simply because I think most of my opportunities and how I have gotten this far is the fact that I was able to communicate like something to someone, and I got what I
Yes.
wanted in exchange.
Mm.
So I'm very happy and privileged to be able have that skill, I think.
Amazing. Yeah, okay, great. Now I want to talk to you about your statement of purpose.
Okay.
Do you remember that? You
No.
must have written one for your visa application.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I didn't think it was called statement of purpose. It was like, anyways.
I think,
Yes.
yes, you came in 2023
Yeah,
because there
I
has
think it
been
was called
changes.
genuine
Temporary
temporary
entrant.
entrance. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I should change that because some students they have it as statement of purpose, and by the time you came,
Right.
the document is still called the same, but the requirement was moved to be genuine temporary entrant. So in
I
that,
see.
you had questions like why you want to study this course, why you want to
Yeah.
study Australia, how this course is going to help you to get a better career, and what are your study plans after you complete the program, and yes. So if you had to rewrite that information, what will be different this time?
Mm, and this is with my current experience
Yeah,
here
your
already.
current experience. Suppose if you knew what you know now, what will be different in that information, like how the genuine temporary entrant information that you gave at that time, how will that be different if you have to redo that information?
Personally, I actually, now that you bring it up, I kind of remembered a few points that I had in my previous genuine
Mm.
entrant a temporary entrant form, and I
Mm.
talked a lot about how I actually filled my gap. Yeah. How
Ah,
I spend that time to either build my interpersonal skills through different types of casual work. I
yeah.
also was very involved in nonprofit organizations, in activism. So
Hmm.
I think I was trying to sort of explain that, I am genuine because I want to come here to experience more of what Australia can offer me. But now knowing what I know and having experienced what I know, I think I oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's difficult. It is a difficult question
Yeah,
to think about
I
it.
think I'll talk more about my experience as what the chairperson of the Malaysian Council,
Hmm.
as one of my main experiences here.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if it will 100% answer your question, but I think that's one of the main experiences that I've had in Melbourne that have sort of shaped my trajectory here.
Yeah, okay.
Simply because, like, I understand that while I was within my community, but I got to see how I could actually help my community in an Australian context,
Yes.
with the Australian resources. And that's why I think at this moment in time, I have all these resources at arm's reach. Honestly, I know who to
Mm.
call it, and that's because in the council itself, not only do we focus on like the student welfare, but we also try to focus on bringing back our culture and sharing our culture,
Yeah.
and a lot of professional development as well. So I think all these three aspects, while I'm doing it for my own community, it allowed me to sort of understand that, oh, in Australia there's so many things,
Mm.
that not just Australian people can enjoy, but it's for everyone. So I think knowing that, like knowing the resources that they have, it's that's something I would definitely share in my genuine and temporary
Amazing.
entrant form.
Okay. Yeah, that's amazing because again, the reason I have this question here is because it's very difficult to really write about Australia without having lived in Australia because you can
Mm-hmm.
only know information through, online or whatever is written. But the experiencing something and then in a true sense that is about you, in the sense this is something your very personal journey, like you took on initiative on trying something and then you experienced which you had no idea can happen in Australia before you came here.
Yeah.
Right? So the journey is again coming back to the same thing, like how open-minded or global-minded you are, and how much reflection you're doing on your journey and maneuvering a journey. Like I always compare studying in Australia with a marathon. So it doesn't matter how much preparation you've done before the marathon will still be hard. Um, it will need strategy while you are in the game as well. And that strategy will, again, depending on who you are, what is your strength, it will be very unique to you. So, so thank you for sharing. I think that's not something I expected, but that's amazing sharing. Okay, so in terms of so one of the other critical part of those genuine temporary entrant questions is the return of investment. Like you're investing so much time and money in Australia, staying away from family. So how do you measure that? Like what do you think? Are you getting the value, or you're getting more value, or you're getting the values that you didn't even think earlier about? W- how are you measuring your return on investment now compared to um, your genuine temporary entrance application stage, when you didn't know what to expect, except of course you want to have a good qualification and a good job, that perhaps is one of the main motivation before arriving in Australia. But then when you're here now, you've experienced, what else is your return on investment?
Um, okay, I don't remember answering a return on investment question in my GTE, but I would, and this is a very like relatable question because my dad keeps asking me what the return on investment is.
Mm.
But I think the situation is very different from me because um, I mean, I was sent to study here by my sponsor back home. So it's not that I didn't have a choice, but this
Mm.
was definitely their country of choice. So I had to just roll with the punches. But honestly, how I measure like the return on investment for my sponsor, for example, is the fact that um I bring working experiences from a different country. And that is probably the very basic answer. But I think looking back and comparing the situation in Malaysia, I think if you have outside experiences, you definitely bring a more valuable perspective to the workforce. And that's something I didn't actually believe at first. But I think going into the workforce here for the better part of like 3 months, it's not long, but 3 months, I actually learned that the way they deal with their staff and the way they just approach different problems and act in a professional manner is very different to what I have also experienced in Malaysia. So I think my return on investment is being able to sort of compare and contrast um, both both workforces and my experience in both aspects, you know. So I think that's one of the biggest ones because I really did learn a lot working here, you know, professionally. I think a lot of people have worked casually, which is also very, very different than working casually in Malaysia. But I think I would sort of focus on the professional development of
Profession.
myself
Yeah.
here and in Malaysia.
Yeah. Yeah, now that you've worked with such variety of organizations and people, it makes you much more comfortable working in any environment for that matter, which is because what it does is it develops or takes your skill of adaptability to next level, because you are constantly adapting and you're learning and also contributing, but mostly learning for yourself, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so one in terms of preparation, if you had an advice for someone to build a super student toolkit before they come to Australia for their preparation, what would it include? In the sense, would it include academic skills or tracks, or health or well-being routines, or social or emotional strategies, or practical life skills like you mentioned, the accommodation or transport or banking or budgeting. What would you what else you would include? Of course, it could include any of these or all of these, or what else it could include?
Uh, this is my favorite question, I think, because this is something that I keep telling people. So I definitely agree with whatever you've mentioned. Budgeting is so important. You know, finding your routine, your morning regime, that kind of thing. Having all that locked down and having that discipline to carry it out is very, very important. But I think before you come here, the main advice is to go and seek informal advice. Don't go to the university website. I think going to any website that sort of that their intention is to help is a great step, but I really feel that informal advice sort of gives you like a perspective on how things are to a normal person. And not to say that the advice on different websites are not by normal people, it's just very sugar coated. And where do you get this informal advice? Reddit.
Yes, that's
Reddit.
Yeah.
Reddit or
Reddit.
forums.
Yeah.
Yes. So I personally think that it helped me a lot because you get a lot of subreddit threads on there where you can just ask questions, and it's a lot of different people contributing to the same cause. So when you have something like that, it and you don't know anything about that topic, so it allows you to see like, oh, okay, this person thinks like this, but you need to also consider da. So I know it's very overwhelming, but especially if you don't know the topic at all, it provides a very introductory understanding to it, and you get other people's tips and tricks as well in the process.
Okay. Yes, of course.
So,
Yeah.
for
Okay. I like the
example,
idea of taking informal advice, and I also love the fact that you already know one which can be easily accessible
yeah,
by
so
students.
for example, students studying in Melbourne, there's a subthread called r/Melbourne, or there's one which is the one that I go to a lot. It's called r/Unimel, and all the universities have their own subthread, if I'm not mistaken, subreddit, if I'm not mistaken. So
Subreddit.
I think, yeah. So I think before I came, I asked a ton of questions about. I just sent a picture of my timetable saying, guys, is this timetable does this timetable make sense? And someone actually helped, saying like, oh, hey, you might not want to put your classes back to back because you might have to travel from one class to another. And that's something that, if I'm being honest, the university website would not tell me.
Yeah, and university website, the reason it won't tell is because it has a different purpose.
Exactly. So
it's all about
again,
what is your purpose. Like if you really want to think, and also because as you mentioned in the beginning, every person is so different, like unique. You have your own individual personality and needs, so you would think differently, plan differently, choose different timetables. Like you might choose early, somebody might choose late, you might choose Monday, somebody may choose Tuesday. So it's so many different combinations are possible that it's maybe for a uni it's very hard to do it, but then if you go to Reddit where there are students who've already done it and experienced it, and if you learn from that, and that's really brave of you to share your timetable there and ask them suggestions.
Yeah, so Reddit has been very, very helpful, especially when you're not in Australia, because these people online probably know better. That's why they're replying to you. And that's why you have questions. So when you mention like, oh, university doesn't serve that purpose, exactly. So that's why on Reddit it's like half of getting it right is asking the right questions.
asking the
So
right
if you have
questions.
if you have a pressing question, you should ask. I asked a question about transport, like how do you pay and how much it will cost. Someone said transport is free if you don't tap. I said, what does that even mean?
Mm.
They said trams are free if you don't tap. So then I understood, like, oh, okay, people in Melbourne don't actually pay for their transport. And
Yeah,
then someone said, like, oh, the Mikey fine is going to be 300 if you don't tap, so it's better you tap. So I said,
exactly.
oh,
That's what I'm gonna say. So you
okay,
got to know where.
yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's
So,
that's that's great tool. Okay, so do you remember people who helped you in your first week, like who and what
yes.
you found really helpful?
Yes. So I remember the people who helped me in my first week, and they it wasn't huge help. It wasn't helping me move my bags up my apartment. It wasn't like that. It was just like, hey, I heard you're in Melbourne
Mm,
already. Let's go out for lunch. Let's go out for coffee. And
mm,
I think just talking to someone and having someone say like, oh, by the way, this is like the tram stop if you want to go here. This is a tram if you
mm.
want to go here. Just that little sharing is an act of
So
service
were
is
these
I
other
really
students in
appreciate.
your accommodation? Like who were these people?
These were my seniors.
Your seniors. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's very helpful, being thoughtful about new people who've just arrived, and I'm sure they can relate to you with their past experiences and they know
Yeah.
exactly what's happening. Okay, that's perfect. Okay. So my next question is like, name three people in your network who make you feel supported.
Okay. Three people supported. Okay. So I think the first person I would name is the Malaysian Consul General.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's the consulate general basically.
Mm,
um and I know that it sounds like a very distant person, like why
mm,
why am I
mm,
being supported by this guy, but throughout my work in the Malaysian Council, he's been a very prominent figure, and he's a very
mhm,
friendly person as well. So we both have, like, I mean, we don't talk a lot, but he is a very supportive person when it comes to all of this stuff. So when you run into any trouble, he is a very approachable person that I
mm,
feel very comfortable to ask help from if need be.
mhm.
Another person I would say is my sister. So I live with my sister now. So
Oh, is she
so
in Melbourne too? Yeah.
yeah, she's in Melbourne. Um so I think we both support each other very well. We complement each other very well as well. So that's definitely a very close. This is the closest person I have in Melbourne at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
And I think
amazing.
the third person is probably one of my close university friends.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ira. This has been amazing. One funny thing, I don't know how this is gonna work, but if you can make one emoji that represents your journey so far, which emoji will that be?
Energy, right?
Emojis,
Oh,
like,
emoji.
yeah.
Oh, wait, I have it. 1 second.
Okay.
Wait 1 second. Um, that represents my superpower, right?
Yeah, or your journey so far in Australia. Any of those? Yeah.
Wait. I have it. This is a sticker that I use a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's cute,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of symbolizes, like, oh, no matter what comes at you, like, it's gonna be okay. Where's
Oh.
my cat? It's
Oh, what is it?
it's just a dog.
Oh, so cute.
It's a dog that's like, it'll be okay.
Oh,
So I think it provides a very calm and whimsical energy. So I
yeah.
think, yeah, no matter what happens to you, here, I think it's important to be calm first, to
Yes.
respond as opposed to reacting. So that's why I think that sticker sort of represents that. Like, you're not immediately angry, you're just like, okay, yeah, wait, let me
Let
think
me
about
just.
this first.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This brings to the end of our conversation. It's you've been so generous, Ira. We've I think gone 20 minutes ahead of our
Oh,
time, but thank you really,
it's
really much. I think we'll have to make these interviews in multiple parts so before we share, because otherwise it's too long. Although I think that if somehow this could go to students in Malaysia before they come, this will really be so good. And I'll try. I will definitely. I have a couple of people in my mind right now who I think if I speak to them, they can help them reach this to the students, or perhaps the agents community in Malaysia who may be able to share it with the students before they come here. Because the idea is that, of course, they already working hard, they work on the admission visa and everything else, and if they could have this sort of information before coming,
Yeah.
this will make huge difference. This will help them do so well. And because in with all the things that happening in AI and cyber security world and everything, the way it's moving, mental health is also a big thing at the moment. People feel isolated, and they sometimes, like, too new is happening too fast everywhere in the world. So staying grounded, staying connected, looking after yourself is very, very important. So, what you shared, and reflected on your journey, like, okay, I'm going to connect only with Australians, and then coming back to your own roots and then doing so well and balancing them, all of that, it's amazing. Like, it doesn't matter where we start and with what perspective we come. If we kind of reflect often and explore and communicate and engage, we will really find a good spot to be in. And you've already created one for yourself. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shaina, for having me and for thinking of me. I think the questions were amazing, and I hope that I answered the questions to your standard.
You did great. You did great. Yeah, it's way
Thank you
more
so
than
much.
what I expected. I think your experience and your sharing has been very genuine, and it's very thoughtful. And I'm really impressed with your journey, and I really think this is going to help many students.
Thank you so much, and that is my only hope to like help at least one person that probably needs it. So yeah.
Great. Good luck with your journey. We'll be in touch. Yeah.
Of course. Thank you so much, and I hope the rest of your interviews go well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Farah. Bye for now.
Bye bye. See you.
Bye. Yeah.
See ya.